we announced the launch of another digital asset initiative called Bloom, where we explore wholesale and cross-border transactions using settlement assets such as regulated stablecoins and tokenized bank deposits. What this means is that for smaller businesses, it could result in faster payments and easier financing. MES is also working with our regional partners, for example, in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and China, so that Singaporeans can pay like a local in these countries. Innovation isn't always comfortable, but it's delicious when it works.
Welcome to Inside MES, where we engage MES leaders on the work of the central bank and how it impacts the men and women on the street. My name is Rachel, Assistant Director with the Payments Development and Data Connectivity Office under the FinTech and Innovation Group, FTIG for short, and I'll be your host for today. Now, everyone probably recognizes MES as Singapore's central bank and financial regulator. But what you may not realize is that we also play a key role in developing the financial services, making sure that Singapore stays ahead as innovation, technology, and payments evolves. That's where FTIG comes in. Established in 2015, we work closely with industry partners and government agencies to drive innovation, advance payment capabilities, and harness new technologies such as AI to strengthen Singapore's position as a leading financial sector. Joining me to unpack what FTIG does is a very special guest. Give it up for Kenneth Kay, our Chief FinTech Officer here at MES.
Hi everyone.
Kenneth, you've been with FTIG for over a year now, and we've been cooking up many initiatives. Can you use one local dish to describe what FTIG does?
Well, if I have to choose one dish, it would have to be one of my favorites, laksa. Laksa is a spicy Southeast Asian noodle soup with a rich coconut curry broth loaded with seafoods and spices. The coconut broth represents a robust foundation for people and businesses to transact. The ingredients, like seafood, add substance for financial services to be faster, safer, and more accessible. And the spices represent innovation that gives Singapore's financial sector its distinctive edge.
I love that analogy. FTIG, the spicy laksa of MES, keeps you warm, slightly sweating, but never boring.
That's right. Innovation isn't always comfortable, but it's delicious when it works.
Alright, Kenneth, let's start with everyone's favorite part of finance, payments. We all make payments on a daily basis, but I don't think many of us know about the work that goes behind the scenes. Can you share more about what the Payments Development and Data Connectivity Office does?
If FTIG is a bowl of laksa, then payments is like the broth, the rich base that encompasses all our financial transactions, whether it's salary landing in our accounts, splitting a dinner bill, or tapping our card at the MRT gantry. PDDC's work is divided into three pillars: governance, infrastructure, and policy. First, on governance, MES works closely with banks and payments networks to oversee our various schemes. We have PayNow for peer-to-peer transfers, Fast for real-time interbank transfers, Gyro for recurring payments, and SGQR for the acceptance of payments on multiple apps with just one QR code. Recently, we also established the Singapore Payments Network, or SPAN. SPAN is an entity that will centrally administer and govern our national payment schemes.
And we've certainly come a long way. I can now easily pay for my groceries or a cup of coffee just by scanning or tapping. While cash remains an important instrument, we have many merchants who are adopting digital payment solutions. The goal is to ensure that we keep our options open so that everyone, from seniors to students, can pay in a way that best works for them.
Exactly. And this is made possible because of our payments infrastructure. In other words, the back-end rails that ensure seamless payments across hawkers, online payments, as well as public transport.
And it's certainly no easy feat. With over 90% of Singaporeans making PayNow transactions on a daily basis and over 120,000 acceptance points across the island, so you can easily scan or tap to pay.
Yes, and we're not stopping there. MES is also working with our regional partners, for example, in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and China, so that Singaporeans can pay like a local in these countries as well. I'm also excited about a project we're working on called Project Nexus, which is like a bridge that connects the instant payment systems of countries in a multilateral fashion, so that more countries can benefit from saving time and costs for individuals and businesses. Finally, PDDC also works on the policy angle. It works closely with the payments department of MAS to ensure that regulations remain relevant and innovation-friendly. At the end of the day, a great laksa depends on a strong broth, and payments plays the same role. When the base is robust, everything else from trade, salaries, and digital services flows smoothly.
I think that's why I love working in payments. We're really upkeeping one of the most important functions in everyday life. Now, a good bowl of laksa isn't quite complete without its ingredients, such as the taupok, the fish cake, the ham, and the prawns. What ingredients does FTIG provide to strengthen Singapore's position as a leading financial centre?
So, this is where our Financial Infrastructure and Artificial Intelligence Office, or FIA, comes in. FIA's work represents the ingredients that enrich our laksa. Its mission is to take complex technologies, whether it's AI, digital assets, or central bank digital currencies, and turn them into practical tools to make finance faster, safer, and more useful for everyday life and business.
Let's start with Project Guardian that's been gaining a lot of attention. Can you share more about it?
Sure. So today, when money or investments move around, whether you buy a bond or invest in a fund, these assets typically go through various intermediaries and processes, which add time and cost. So this is where Project Guardian comes in. We are exploring how real-world assets, like bonds and funds, can be tokenized. In other words, turned into secure digital versions that can be traded and settled almost immediately. And this is not just an experiment. Large financial firms like JP Morgan have processed more than $1.5 trillion in tokenized transactions. More recently, we announced the launch of another digital asset initiative called Bloom, where we explore wholesale and cross-border transactions using settlement assets such as regulated stablecoins and tokenized bank deposits. What this means is that for smaller businesses, it could result in faster payments and easier financing.
Speaking of protecting consumers, scams are becoming very common these days. What is MAS doing about scams, and are we using any AI to combat scams?
Yeah, scams is a very big, AI use case for us. MAS is actually working closely with banks to explore the sharing of transaction data so that a wider range of suspicious activity can be flagged within seconds, and this helps for us to stop a lot more scams.
That's great, but are there other use cases of AI?
Yeah, AI has so many different use cases in the financial sector, and we are uncovering new and better ways for AI to be deployed across various sectors of finance through our initiative called the Pathfinder. At the same time, we are also very mindful that generative AI can bring about potential risks such as hallucination, potential cyber risks, and this is why we also have another initiative called Project Mindforge, where we aim to develop a framework for the responsible use of generative AI. Another powerful use case of AI is on credit scoring, where AI can help financial data to be analysed more efficiently so that SMEs and individuals without traditional credit histories can access loans more easily.
That's very heartening. I never knew that there could be so many uses of AI in the financial services.
And this is also why FIA's work is so important. At the end of the day, FIA's work supports faster, cheaper, and more secure movement of financial assets. And this in turn contributes to a more inclusive and safer financial system.
Now, Kenneth, we're almost done with assembling the FTIG laksa, but I think it's missing a little bit of that spicy kick and fragrant aroma. How does MAS bring that to life?
So that's where the Innovation Acceleration Office, or IAO, comes in. IAO is the sambal and laksa leaf that gives Singapore's financial ecosystem its dynamism and character. As we shared at the beginning, many people think of MAS as a regulator and a central bank. Many don't know that MAS also fosters financial innovation in Singapore so that we can help Singapore keep up with global trends and shape the future of finance.
But exactly how does IAO do this?
Well, there are two main ways. First, IAO provides funding support for innovation via the Financial Sector Technology and Innovation Scheme, or FSTI for short. FSTI helps financial institutions to adopt new technologies and to strengthen their capabilities in areas such as AI and data analytics. This is not just for larger firms, but it also supports smaller firms to innovate as well.
But I can imagine that it can be pretty daunting for smaller firms to innovate. What is MAS doing about that?
Well, the second thing that IAO does is partnership and ecosystem support. IAO works closely with industry bodies like the Singapore FinTech Association and the Global Finance and Technology Network, or GFTN. These associations help the smaller companies to get insights, uncover opportunities, and to help them on their regulatory and policy relevance.
That's amazing. I can imagine Singapore being a vibrant and more innovative ecosystem.
Yeah, I know, right? At the end of the day, IEO's role is to help to make innovation part of everyday life in Singapore's financial sector. This helps to keep our ecosystem vibrant, competitive, and uniquely Singaporean.
Indeed, I think we have shown everyone how to cook a great bowl of FTIG laksa. Now, Kenneth, before we wrap up, will you be able to share more about your past year in FTIG and what keeps you coming to work every day?
Oh, the past year has been a whirlwind. It's been exciting, it's been humbling, and deeply rewarding. I think what strikes me most about FTIG is really its people. FTIG has some of the brightest and most passionate people you could hope for. They're creative, they're quirky, and they're so fun to be around. Whether it's debating, payment strategy over kopi, or drawing out, an AI adoption strategy over a whiteboard, we're just having so much fun and doing great stuff at the same time. Also, I think the mission is really important. At the heart of it, what FTIG does isn't just about technology. It's about making finance work better for people, whether it's building payment systems to make life easier, helping financial institutions to innovate more confidently, or using AI to keep users safe. All of this amounts to a purpose that's bigger than ourselves. And finally, I think what really keeps me going is MAS's vision. The idea that Singapore can continue to be a trusted, globally connected, and forward-looking financial hub, which stays relevant to the everyday needs of our people and businesses. Being part of that journey is a real privilege.
That's such a sweet message, and I think there'll be a lot of our viewers right now who would love to join FTIG if they had a chance. Who wouldn't want to be working with brilliant colleagues, tackle big challenges, shape the future of finance, all while making a great bowl of laksa on the side?
Well, we'll save you a seat at the table.
Well, if you want to know more about the topics that we've spoken about or delve into the technologies, do join us at the Singapore FinTech Festival happening on the 12th to 14th of November at Singapore Expo.
Yes, you don't want to miss all the exciting events and exhibitions that will give you a front seat to the future of finance.
And with that, we've come to the end of Inside MAS. Thank you, Kenneth, for sharing more about FTIG. And stay tuned for more episodes.